why I switched from the iPhone 16 Pro to the 17 Pro Max. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. In this episode, I want to share with you my story about why I switched from the iPhone 16 Pro to the 17 Pro Max. Now, you're probably aware that I do cover and review quite a bit of phones, and I do have the option to switch between a couple, but these are my two main ones I've been using for the past year. This one I just got started on a couple of months ago, the iPhone 17 Pro Max, but I was on the 16 Pro Max, switched down to the 16 Pro for its lightweight form factor, and then I'm back at the Max. But there's a couple of reasons why I'm actually back at the Max, and I'll tell you why they're related to some of the other new iPhones as well. But let's start with the very first thing that we're going to talk about, and that is the feel, the size of displays. So one of the reasons I really loved the iPhone 16 Pro and switched over to it recently was it was just a sleek titanium, lightweight phone that had a nice thin bezel across the edge. And it actually had really good battery life for the time, and it still does. It's only a year old or so. So really solid battery life, really sleek feel to it, and not too hefty, but also easy to one hand. So absolutely love the iPhone 16 Pro. I've talked about in other videos why I've continued to love this phone. But when I seen the iPhone 17 Pro here, this is the smaller version of the Pro, it doesn't feel quite as sleek. The camera bump is kind of huge on this phone, and it just feels a little heftier, a little bit thicker in the hand. Some people still love it, and I think it's a good phone, but it's priced higher. But the real issue to me is the ergonomics are not as good as the 16 Pro on this phone. It's just a thicker, heftier phone, and for that reason, I'm like, if I'm going to go there, I'm just going to go all the way back up, because I'm just going to get better battery life once again on the latest iPhone 17 Pro Max. So that's the very first reason that I didn't switch and stay on the smaller version, was because the weight of the 17 Pro was just more substantial feeling than the 16 Pro, that I just figured might as well go back to the Max. So I do have to say I do like the design and feel better on the 16 Pro than the 17 Pro. So that's about it. Now when it comes to the feel of the 17 Pro Max, kind of like switching over here has been not too difficult. It isn't super heavy by comparison, but it is much taller. So I do find myself back to the two-hand usage again, doing this quite a bit, holding it with one hand, swiping with the other. You can still get away with one-handing it sometimes. And a lot of people have this statement where they think that once you use the Max for a few days, it tends to feel like a normal phone, like whatever. And I do agree with that. You kind of forget until you go ahead and pick up something like a 16 Pro or a smaller iPhone, then you're like, oh, wait a minute. I could one hand this thing. I could wrap my hand around this and kind of just scroll like that. So yeah, it tends to weigh on me some days. But one of the reasons why I switched as well was because I was starting to charge this phone middle of the day a little bit too frequently. So when I seen the battery going over 5,000 milliamp hours on the 17 Pro Max, it was easy to make the switch to this phone. And also, this phone to me has actually been a better battery life phone than my other favorite Android phone, the Galaxy S25 Ultra. So this phone I'm actually using to follow my script here for this video, but at the same time, this one has been very, very good overall in terms of the iPhone 17 Pro Max battery life. Extending the battery on this eSIM only model has really, really paid off dividends. So I've been willing to make the sacrifice again to go back up in size because of the 5,000 plus. This thing is a true marathon performer in battery. Now, the 16 Pro was also impressive for this one-handed device. I just found myself needing to go ahead and charge this thing sometimes, because I'm a pretty darn heavy user during the day. So charging it right around 5 o'clock or so. Not because it was like at the bottom, but it was getting in the 40s and the 30s. And I'm like, nah, I mean, I'll make it today, but I'm not trying to go all the way down to under 10%. So I would still charge it there. This one, on the other hand, with a 17 Pro Max, I'm hitting around 9, 10 o'clock at night, and I have like 58% battery. I'm like, wow, I would have been there at like maybe like 5 o'clock on the iPhone 16 Pro. So it's a substantially longer jump and one that I think is worth it if you kind of love the 16 Pro, but you wanted to go up in size and get just a little bit more battery. Now, I haven't, from a performance perspective, noticed any difference really at all. It actually feels like exactly the same phone. It scrolls about the same, and there's just no difference in my day-to-day life with this phone right here, the 17 Pro Max, when it comes to performance. Except for, I do like the fact this has 12 gigs of RAM. I feel like it never ever reloads anything, which is pretty sweet on this device, but the majority of my daily usage is still not being affected by, the chip upgrade going from the A18 Pro to the A19 Pro. I'm just not seeing anything that substantially changes anything from my day-to-day use. So performance-wise, I already knew this was going to happen. It was going to be the same, which is good because my 16 Pro was an absolute rocket performer. So coming here has just made it have a larger, beastlier battery with even better performance that might not be that noticeable. Now, what has been excellent to me, and I have had really loved this, and I've kind of been talking about it for a while now already, a couple months, is this camera. Taking front-facing photos on here, especially, group shots and stuff like that, have been superb. And, this is the type of feature that you don't kind of know how good it is until you start using it in the real-world experience every day. You're like, hey, let's get this selfie in, and you just back it out, and everybody's in the frame, and you're just like, wow. You kind of just think like, thank goodness I have this phone, because you would have had to back it out, use a selfie stick, maybe even tell somebody, you know what, can you snap this photo of us? But this one is getting you closer on the 17 Pro Max to not needing that help or of a tool or a person to take it. I mean, look how much wider that can get than the 16 Pro. So that is really something that I've enjoyed on the change. And that could go for any of the 17 models. So that's not really a 17 Pro Max specific reason, but I've enjoyed it. Now, the other thing I have to state about this phone is the zooming length on this device has been superb. The 16 Pro, I really didn't upgrade to the 17 Pro Max because I thought the camera was an issue on the 16 Pro. It's actually very good. It can also go 5 times zoom. And if you bought this thing right now, you're not really behind in any substantial way in the camera. It still does a superb job. But the 17 Pro Max, to me, I always enjoy taking photos and framing things on the larger display just because there's more canvas here to go ahead and see what you're doing, especially when taking video and stuff of this sort. It's just always nice to have that spacious display on here. So very similar to that of the 17 Pro Max, but having the triple 48 megapixel, everything does seem a little bit more tight and consistent when it comes to the quality amongst the lenses. So the layout here, very similar, but at the end of the day, with the inclusion of the improved front-facing camera and the consistency of triple 48, I do find it a touch better. I've been enjoying it a little bit more than the photos that I was taking and getting on the 16 Pro, but it's definitely not a big enough reason to say you have to go get this upgrade. Now, believe it or not, the charging has been actually noticeably quicker for the iPhone 17 Pro Max, a little bit for me. So I noticed that. So I do like this over the 16 Pro. The 16 Pro is solid, not a slow charging phone, but it's not the fastest either. So not only is the battery a little bit worse, but coming over here, improving the charging speed has been a worthy switch as my main device for me. I do like the silver on the 16 Pro on the edges. That titanium just looks beautiful over here, in the all glass back here with the camera off to the left, no humps or anything like that. To me, this is just a clean design versus the silver 17 Pro over here. I do like its two-tone look as well, but it's just a little bit thicker, a little bit heftier. It's kind of giving me almost Max vibes and just a stubbier, shorter body. So I prefer the Max when we're talking about this year of the phones. But one of the things about the iPhone Max that isn't my absolute favorite is the phone is, while it is smoother to hold, I've kind of bragged about this, it is a little bit slipperier. So I have found myself about to drop this a few times just because of the smoothness of the aluminum chassis. It has been slipping a little bit more than I would like. Now, I will state though that this orange, at first, I was on the fence. I got it because I thought it stood out and it was going to look good in videos, which I think I'm correct. I can see the Apple logo a little bit better in video than over here. It kind of like blends in with the lights. So this does look better to me on video. In person, you know, some people have been saying they turn this weird color. I haven't seen that yet. Hopefully it doesn't ever. But I've actually come to really enjoy this cosmic orange. This thing stands out. It always feels like I got the latest phone here. It looks newer, and I didn't buy it for that status reason of having the latest phone, but it does remind me that I'm using something different. You know, using the same classic silver, the black and all that every year or whatever. They don't even have black this year, but blue phones all the time. It just kind of never feels like anything is different. I just like the different feel of this phone. That's just been what it is. Now, people have talked about the scratching and some of the durability things they've been seeing with MagSafe at the Apple stores and stuff like that. I've been keeping it in a case, and I've been keeping it in this Surfy case right here, not sponsored. I will leave a link to it down below. This is one of the cases I've been using. This case right here is kind of like an Apple leather case, but kind of look a lot cheaper, but does the same job. Kind of like that, like pumpkin-y Thanksgiving look, kind of like this fall vibes look. Looks like leaves with the orange color right there. So that's kind of how I've been rocking it. If you wonder why I don't use a case in the videos, to show the phone a little bit clearer. I've also found this kind of vivid looking orange case that has a kickstand on the top. I found this one on Amazon. I'll leave a link to this one down below as well. It's no name brand, but it's a good case for a relatively accessible price point. I think it looks excellent on there. It really makes that orange pop a little bit more. Of course, it's got that Apple logo in a weird location down there. And lastly, I've been using this case right here. And I've been using this official tech woven case from Apple. Now, I really like this case because they put the Apple logo back in the center. Kind of reminds me of the previous iPhones. A little cleaner looking than the Apple logo down low. Kind of giving me them same vibes and the color tones as this. But I don't know if you could tell, but it's getting a little bit dirty. So this case definitely gets dirty. They also do come in these black woven colors if you want to not see the dirt or whatever over time on the case. But this one's been grippy, and it does this little thing when you put it on the phone where it kind of shows that it's a MagSafe case, because it is an Apple official. It does this thing right here. But overall, it does a really good job with grip. So this adds a ton of grip to your phone, and the case is overall pretty solid. You can hear it's got that like scratchy material on the back, but it's a pretty solid case. Now, the other thing I wanted to say about why I switched over here to this phone has been, I feel like with the iOS 26, I feel like the improvements with the 12 gigs of RAM and all this like fresh paint job they've been putting over this phone, I just feel like it's going to run better on the Max phone than any of the other iPhones. So I figured this will be the best phone to get for that, and it's been running fantastic. Now, that's pretty much some of the reasons why I've upgraded. I do want to make a couple other things known before I get out of this video. If you do have an iPhone 16 Pro and you're wondering if you should go to a 17 Pro, most of the things I said in this video about the 17 Pro doesn't mean it's not a great upgrade. It definitely is. It just is a little bit less sleek, a little bit thicker. And to me, the material choice definitely doesn't feel as premium, but it does get less warm and is more consistent with the cameras and more usable with the cameras than the iPhone 16 Pro was. But if you do want longer battery life than what you've been experiencing on your 16 Pro, then I probably would steer you towards the 17 Pro Max like I did. And if you wanted a sleeker phone, I would probably just stay with the 16 Pro for a little while, or jump to the Air if sleek and thin and light is all that matters to you. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section of this video. A lot of people ask me, what phone are you using? So I wanted to make this video so you kind of get an idea where I'm at right now in my main daily driver, because a lot of people like to know, this guy's covering like 10, 15 different phones, but which one are you using, bro? So that's why we made this video right here, and we laid out the reasons why. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you all in the next episode. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.